Denise just joined
Hello.
us. Hi everyone, and welcome our fifth episode of Planet for Cop. Today we have a very special guest that we are inviting just now. We're gonna discuss about general remarks of this Cop27 that is about to finish, and what's the role of sustainability related to fashion and how fashion is connected to Cop27. So let me just invite Massimo.
Yeah, so this is our second guest, which works in the, let's say, fashion framework. But we decided to still have this live because, hi.
Hi, ciao Marco, how are you?
Hi, thank you. Very good, very good. What about you?
All good, thank you. Recently back from COP, so excited to talk to you guys about what happened and what I saw and what I experienced. So.
Exactly. This is what I was talking about, that we decided still to have this live because he was involved in the COP in person, so he's gonna tell us more about it.
Sure.
Yeah, exactly. So Massimo, if you wanna give us just a few words about you, what you do in your life, and then we go deep into the topic, okay?
Of course. Yeah, so for those of you, my name is Massimo Casagrande. I'm based here in Paris, and I am the program leader of the postgraduate courses at Istituto Marangoni in Paris. And besides working in academics, I'm also a creative director where I work with emerging brands from emerging locations like in Africa and LATAM. So, it's and sustainability and responsible design is one of the things I talk about the most with the brands that I work with. So, but also it's something that's very important within the world of education. And yes, and that's why thank you to Maria Bucellati of Faith Connection. She asked me to join her to talk about how fashion and through education we can make a difference to make the world a more sustainable place.
Well said, Massimo. Also, you might understood, and our guests might know, with PlanED we aim to make green education accessible to everyone, because we firmly believe that we need to start from education if you wanna this world transitioning to more an ecological way of thinking, way of producing our goods, and way of producing our energy, and so on and so forth.
Exactly.
So we really believe in the role of traditional institutions and new institutions such as online courses to, bring the knowledge to the people that will change the world, hopefully.
Absolutely, absolutely.
So let's go down to the question, and
Sure.
we wanna ask you, how was COP? Like, you were there, you experienced the feeling of walking in the venue, and also have the chance to talk there. So just give us about some insights about COP, please.
It was an amazing experience. I think an absolute once in a lifetime experience. I felt very attached to COP this year because it was they called it COP Africa, and I actually spent a lot of my life, my childhood, growing up in Africa. So it was actually nice to be able to go back to the continent and sort of share my experience. And yeah, it was just nice to be back there. What I spoke about, the panel that I was involved with, was about the future of fashion, how to create a sustainable world. And I spoke about my role as an educator and what we at Istituto Marangoni are doing to create a new generation of responsible design. What was really interesting is, in the panel, there were 5 other people who came from completely different disciplines, but we had the same objective. And it's nice to know that we were actually on track. We all have the learning outcomes to achieve, and we're doing a difference to get those. I spoke about, yes, the new generation. So when we work with our students, we ask them, we try and avoid the word sustainability, because sustainability, I think, has become a bit of a marketing ploy at the moment, and people are sort of jumping on the bandwagon. So the term that I personally like to use is responsible design or ethical design. So when I work with students, it's actually getting them to think already from the conceptual stage, like what is going to be the second, third, or possible fourth life of the garment that we are designing. You know, we need to think ahead of what's going to happen. It's also about teaching our students how to educate the consumer to understand that we have to, we're not saying that you have to buy less, but maybe have a different approach when you're purchasing something. You know, it's about buying better, understanding more about what you're buying into and the impact that you're causing the climate and environment when you're purchasing something. So it's understanding that, you know, the consumer also needs to research. And nowadays we know with Generation Z, it's all about traceability. They want to know what they're buying into. They want this transparency. So we have to ensure that the new generation of designers that are coming out are aware of this, that they are able to communicate all of this as well. There's lots of things that are happening within the world that we try and teach our students as well. It's, you know, it's about recycling, upcycling, repair. We as designers need to propose solutions to consumers. Patagonia and Levi's are good examples as well, where, you know, and like now even Bottega Veneta, sort of, the product is guaranteed for life. You can take it back, it can be repaired. And I think, you know, it's also about inclusivity, and inclusivity is not just, you know, it's including everybody, looking at it from a gender point of view, looking at it from a disability point of view, like really try and be as inclusive as possible. At the moment, you know, COVID has accelerated digitalization. So fashion has taken giant leaps towards, you know, making the world a better place. But what I wanted to stress as well, and especially being in Egypt and seeing all the amazing craft that the tribes are doing there, you know, digitalization is great, it's good, but we mustn't forget the human side. You know, technology must not replace humanity. We have to learn to work together with it. So with our students, yes, we teach certain software, but at the end of the day, you know, we're still living in a physical world where we're wearing clothes, you know, we feel it on our bodies. So we need to have that human side, you know, within the fashion. So that's the main thing. That was the main topic that I spoke about, is sort of how to get the generation to think in a more responsible way, to come up with solutions that they can offer the consumers, and, you know, to create an impact which is going to be less harsh on the environment. That was the main topic that I spoke about.
Thank you, Massimo. That was so insightful. Like, coming back to that, do you think that there were some solution proposed? Like, there will be some actions, concrete actions that will be taken after COP27 related to fashion? Because I mean, we are all aware that fashion is such a polluting industry, more specifically fast fashion. And like, what can we do? Like, what was the takeaways from COP27 about fashion? Is there, I don't know, any policy that will be issued, or any suggestions to be, you know?
It's really interesting because there's been a lot of articles that say that fashion was off the agenda at COP27 this year. I agree to an extent, but having physically been there, I disagree as well, because I had the opportunity to talk to lots of people, local designers, but also, you know, I was busy talking with Federica Bertolani, who's the head of sustainability for Nanushka, and also Doina Ciobana. She's the Wolford Sustainability Advisor. And we were actually talking how, yes, fast fashion is the main cause of this, but at the same time, how these companies like H&M and Zara are trying to actually take a step towards being sustainable. So what they're doing, they're actually investing in lots of companies. I mean, two examples I can give you are, they're actually Italian. One of them is called Orange Fiber, which was founded by two women in Sicily, which I absolutely admire what they do. And they take sort of, you know, leftover pulp and skin of oranges, and they start creating textiles. And they've done amazing collaborations with Ferragamo and H&M. Another one is Vegea. They from the Veneto region, if I'm not mistaken. And what they do is they take the leftover grapes after you make the wine and they turn it into leather. And they've actually done the car interiors for Bentley. They did a leather jacket for H&M. They did stuff for Stella McCartney. So we're actually seeing how, yes, they are the cause, but they're also helping to solve solutions, to come up with solutions on how to be less impactful. And I think that's what we're noticing. What I noticed from COP27 was the way of moving in different directions. Another thing is this environmental platform, which is called Canopy, which is all about moving away from deforestation. And, so what they want to do is keep the forest intact. And they've actually signed agreements with Zara, with H&M, Stella McCartney, and the Caring Group to get them to actually purchase low carbon alternative fibers. So let's try keep the forest intact. Let's move away from viscose and other stuff and actually start finding other solutions. And I think orange fiber and Vegea are great examples of how using maybe food waste or leftovers to create something completely new. Stella is a pioneer, having worked with Bolt Fabrics in creating alternatives. So that is one takeaway. And it was really great to be able to speak to Doina and to Federica and to get their opinion and what they think about this as well. Deforestation is causing lots of problems with the climate. We've got people who manufacture mohair because of the heat. They don't have enough herds to be able to produce the stuff. So I think that was really interesting. And I attended a talk by where Gabriela Hurst, she has her own brand, but she designs for Chloe as well, where she was a panelist. And Marco, I'm not an energy person, that's your expertise. But she spoke about fusion, and I was like, why is a fashion designer speaking about fusion? Like for me, fusion is like physics and all that stuff. But it was so interesting to understand that there are other solutions out there that are less impactful and more environmental friendly. So, with fusion, it's about sort of making atoms join and creating heat, and they are able to sustain energy. And it's clean energy. At the moment, we're using about 85% of our fossil fuels. So if we can move away from that, I think it's a giant step. So I really appreciate, Gabriela Hurst was with somebody from the UK government, a representative of the White House, and all these people talking about fusion. And I think it's a great solution. I was recently in South Africa for South Africa Fashion Week, and the country is going through what they call load shedding. So for me, it was very strange to experience 4 times a day not having energy, where you literally get a text saying for the next 2-3 hours there's going to be no electricity. And I was speaking to Gabriela afterwards saying, why not approach the governments in these areas to see if we can invest in fusion, because it is going to be something that can help these regions. Another thing that I noticed as well was sort of the financial impact that European governments are actually investing in damaged or countries like Belgium is investing money in Mozambique. Austria is investing in, I think it's Indonesia, and what they're doing, they're helping these countries by donating money to make up for the loss that they've experienced. Because at the end of the day, the continent, well, let's just say the southern hemisphere is the one that's been impacted the most due to climate change and to what's happening with the environment. But at the same time, we're seeing the same thing happen in Europe. I think we experienced one of the hottest summers ever this year. I mean, Paris got up to 41, 42 degrees. It's never happened before. The 23rd of October, I was walking around Paris in a t-shirt. It's not normal.
It's not normal. Yeah.
It's not normal. So it was just interesting to see how all of these things were sort of impacting. And, these things, fusion as well, is something that can help the supply chain, because instead of plants using carbon as energy, moving on to something that is more eco-friendly will help with the fashion industry and with the production. So that for me was very, very insightful to see, you know, it really opened up. And then, you know, doing my research, I actually saw how for Chloe in the previous season, Gabriella Hurst actually based the whole collection on fusion, you know, so it's I admire and respect what she's doing to raise awareness for this. But what's really scary is that my generation doesn't know much about this, but the younger generation is so informed about fusion, you know, and the thing is, yes, we've got turbines, we've got solar panel, but they are limited. Whereas by being able to explore different types of energies and different types of sources, we can make a bigger impact within the fashion world and within, you know, production in general.
Yeah, well said, Massimo. It really was so interesting what you said. You for sure have a point, and that to decarbonize fashion industry, we need to decarbonize our way in which we produce energy, and the entire world is investing in that, because we can, you know, try to produce clothes from leftover vegetables or any source of sustainable inputs that we can have in the production, but the production needs energy. So energy is key for every sector. And another good point that you made is about awareness, about how we decide, what we decide to buy, because, you know, we as consumer, we can drive the decision of the big firms such as H&M and Zara, these, you know, big fast fashions, that if the consumer is more aware about the impact of what they will wear, they would just choose for something sustainable. And then now sustainability is using more sustainable sources such as, you know, orange peels. Or tomorrow will be knowing that the sweater is made 100% with renewable energy sources, and so on and so forth. So I think you have very, very interesting points, and for sure Gen Z and the younger generation are 100% aware about that. There's more information, and we all experience climate change in our daily life, and in Europe in general, in Italy. I mean, even in Italy, Milan. Even in Milan, like in October, like a few weeks ago, we were just wearing with a t-shirt. Absolutely.
No, it's crazy.
Normal.
It's not normal. You know, it's crazy. It's absolutely crazy.
Yeah, the ice in the Alps is melting, and so like we're experiencing climate change, and we need to act together. So
but it's
now.
Another, you know, what was really interesting, again, like I said, I don't come from that world, so I really felt like an outsider, sort of, you know, but I went to the innovation center that they had there, and I went to the Saudi pavilion, and the investment that they are doing, it's insane. You know, like they've created these drones to be able to plant seeds, to sort of recreate forests in missing areas. They've come up with these solutions on how to, you know, again, using drones and technology to be able to clean water when there's an oil spill. There's been lots of talk of alternative energy. So, you know, hydrogen and fusion, like I said, you know, so there was all of this, and it really makes you think, okay, there definitely are different ways of doing things. I met this amazing brand as well, which unfortunately I can't remember the name, but I'll text it afterwards. What they do is they actually are finding alternatives to plastics by actually using stones. So they found a way to create plastics. So even the hangers, you know, that we buy on the clothes, they're a huge problem, you know, because we ship our products to the store. The store takes the hangers, throws the plastic hangers away, and put their own personalized ones in there. You know, we don't realize also the impact that has. But it was just amazing to see. Again, you know, there are so many resources out there that people are not talking about, and so many solutions. So it was absolutely amazing. Like creating paper bags out of stones. Like who would have thought? You know, it's. But I do think that, you know, fashion does have a voice. We all buy clothes. You know, everybody buys clothes. So I think we're in a right position where we can educate and really increase the knowledge for people to understand what they're buying into and how they can buy better. You know, again, like I said, it's not that I'm supporting them, but I appreciate the steps that people like Zara and H&M are doing to, you know, to facilitate and try and also change the damage that they've done as fast fashion. At the end of the day, it's something that we created about 20 years ago, and now we have to sort of pay the price for it, but we have to change it. we have to change the way of doing fast fashion. So the fact that they're investing in companies like Orange Fiber and Vegea, it's really great. I mean, there's another company that in Padova that actually makes trainers using apples, so again, leather from apples. So food waste, using that to create alternatives is so important. And that's what we do at Istituto Marangoni in Paris as well. We have courses such as alternative business models where we focus on sustainability, but we also have neo-craftsmanship, because at the end of the day, like I said, the human hand or the artisan mustn't disappear. We've got the technological side, but how do we take couture? How do we take all those skills, and through technology, how do we continue going, but also doing them in a more sustainable way, in a more responsible way as well? So that's very important. What came up as well was carbon footprint. I was talking to one of the panelists, and he had to pay, let's just say, a fine because he flew to COP. So the airline made him pay the carbon footprint. And that was really, I found that very interesting, because what we do at Istituto Marangoni in Paris is, especially with styling, we teach our students to use Unreal Engine. So when they photograph a garment, they photograph the garment in real, but they create their own locations virtually and digitally. So that way, I don't have to fly to the Sahara to take a picture. We teach them how to create that. So in a way, through communication, we can be less impactful by teaching certain software, certain programs that the students can do. So yeah, I think there are definitely alternatives out there, and we as educators need to make sure that we use the right skills and teach the right skills to the students to create a more responsible future.
Wow. Thank you for your contribution. I think there is a little, like reverb. Let's try. Do you hear me?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, but there is some reverb, right? Yeah,
But like, don't worry, go ahead.
Yeah, just a very quick question. In PlanED, we talk about education and green skills that students and young workers need to acquire to enter the green job market. So since we're talking about sustainability, and we have seen that these days at COP, it's kind of slow if we hope to wait for governments to find solution and have top-down solutions also under a normative point of view. So that's why it was really interesting to see from you, innovative ideas from smaller firms. So our very last question for these minutes would be, which are your hopes about the students that you're, seeing every day, and what do you think will make the difference? Which are the skills and the approach they need to have to really boost the change in the fashion market?
My hope is, I keep saying to them that they've got carte blanche to write the next chapter of fashion. For us, it's too late. What frightens me is that we might be the last generation to see certain types of animals, certain type of environments. So to prevent that, we always make sure, like, we've put sustainability and responsible design throughout our whole curriculum. So whenever we talk about different types of topics, we also find alternative solutions that they can explore with. Like with design students, we use Clo 3D. So we've sort of eliminated some of the prototyping processes. So again, that's less waste. We look at zero waste design, how to use as much of the fabric as possible. What can you do with dead stock? Also the fact of, there's the Pareto ratio where the 80-20%. And it's a known fact that if you look at your wardrobe, you're actually only wearing 20% of what's in there. So the other 80% is wasted. So what we try and tell students is, before you create a product, you know, we need to move away from performative design, which is just sort of copying what's happening out there and doing things for the likes and reposts, whatever, and move towards a responsible design. If you understand your consumer properly and you know what their needs are, you design less pieces. You don't have to design a collection that contains 300 pieces. Maybe you design only 80 pieces, but those pieces can be worn more often. You know, we talk about longevity of the product. There's a fantastic campaign that's 26 years old, and it's from a watch company that says, you never really own a Patek Philippe. You merely look after it for the next generation. And that's what I try to and tell the students. You know, if you are able to make your clothes last longer, there's this durability. You can pass it on. You know, you don't need to buy more. Maybe you can buy 1 or 2 statement pieces every 6 months. But to do something that is more eternal and more enduring is much better. So we really want them to understand the impact that fashion has, that they actually have this voice that can make the change. And at Istituto Marangoni, you know, we work a lot with industry. Our professors are actually people who teach in the industry. So, you know, we walk the talk, but we talk the talk, but we walk the walk as well, you know. And when our students do projects with companies, they pitch directly. You know, companies approach us for solutions, and our students, I have to say, they give recommendations, and they will actually say to the company, you know, at the moment you're doing this, but it's harmful to the environment. Our recommendation is that, you know, you need to maybe go more towards this direction. And I have to say, sometimes companies accept the advice, and sometimes they get a bit, you know, but the thing is, they have the voice to change. They're the ones that can definitely make a difference, and we try and give them as much knowledge and skill as possible. You know, we're learning at the same time as them. You know, I was born in the 70s, so completely different generation. So through COVID, having to relearn new skills and techniques to be able to apply, it's, you know, it's important. So we just have to ensure that they know what they're doing, to move away from a selfish perspective into, you know, we're entering a new age. What's it called? Symbiosis at the moment, which is all about community, about working together to make the change. And it starts through education. And that's what we really stress on, is the fact that it's not about you, it's about all of us. So how can we make the world a better place for all of us? And, you know, and also, how is luxury changing? What is luxury doing? You know, and the fact, you know, like with alternative leather, you know, like really finding other solutions. And I know, you know, and sometimes it's a bit of a debate. How can alternative leather be considered luxury compared to, you know, but the students have got the voice and the knowledge and the know-how to back up these things and really make a difference in the world. So it's important. We're always updating. We're always doing meetings. We're always attending talks to be able to ensure that what we teach is coherent with the direction of where the world is going, and to make sure that, you know, they are ready to make the change that's necessary. And going back to what you said before, Marco, as well, you know, governments, yes, they talk a lot, you know, but I believe, I don't see much action. Even when COVID happened, we spoke about reducing shows, reducing everything. But I feel that now, 2 years later, when we're all out and maskless, we're kind of going back to our old habits, you know. So I think we need to, you know, we really need to put our money where our mouth is. And if governments are going to invest, they need to start doing it. But I think pressure also needs to come from fashion brands, and sort of they need to make a statement and say, look, you know, you said you're going to do this. Now is really time to act, and we have to start doing it.
Yeah, very true. If I can add something, also I think a big part of the game is played by the consumption models,
Yeah.
which will surely change, you know, with the students that are changing their approach and their mindset and are more and more aware of the climate change issues and sustainability issues. But I think another contribution needs to be given by social media, because even if like private people try to change even in their community in a smaller, you know, scale, try to make a change, but then there are social media which spread worldwide, and yeah, also like people that have voice through these platforms
Sure.
need to talk about the topic and to do something.
Do you know, it's interesting you say that because I had the greatest pleasure of meeting Wanda Witoto at Cop27, and she's a Brazilian activist about deforestation, and she lives in one of the tribal communities around there. And she was saying how, through social media and through WhatsApp, she managed to communicate with the community on how to take precautions against COVID. And they only had 2 deaths, and she said if it hadn't been through social media and being able to communicate through WhatsApp, the impact on her tribe would have been much, much more. So I completely agree. I think, and it's shifting, brands are also using sustainable influencers. They've really changed their approach, and I think, yes, I completely agree with you. Social media is the current platform, and it is a way of reaching everybody, because no matter where you are in the world, everyone's got a phone, everyone's got internet. So that's one way, it's an amazing way to be connected. And like I said, going back to Wanda, the fact that through WhatsApp group and Instagram, she managed to only have 2 deaths out of a whole village. It's great,
Amazing. Thank you.
Cool.
Yeah, thank you, Massimo, for this chat. It was such an interesting one.
No, thank you guys.
And thank you for giving your hope, and then thank you for being an educator that will educate, and this is that you're educating right now future generation in being the main characters of this transition, because it's what we need. We need to start from education, from traditional institution and new
Exactly.
They play a crucial role, and for this reason we decided to embrace this challenge, and then make everyone aware about that education is key. And then rather the investment is important, but you need to invest in people first, because the people are the driver of the change.
And we actually again, thanks to Maria Bucellati of Faith Connection, we're doing a collaboration with them. They selected 5 of our students that have to design some of their collection for them, but using dead stock and unused items. And the great thing is that the selected students will actually be showing in the Paris showroom of Faith Connection in January. So again, I think that's another thing that I notice a lot, especially at the talk of fusion, how they were saying that all companies need to team up with the educational institutions, because that's the only way forward, so and I completely agree, because we are working with the younger generation, but it's also for us to understand their point of view and their perspective, because they see the world completely different to how we see it. So with Faith Connection, the fact that they want our students to use their dead stock fabrics, their unused, their unsold collections, to come up with their new pieces is really great. So if you guys are ever in Paris, I'm more than happy to give you the tour of Istituto Marangoni in Paris, to show you what we're doing and how we're implementing all these changes in our curriculum to create a new generation of responsible and ethical designers.
Wow, thank you.
And entrepreneurs, because we do business as well, so it's not just about the design at the end of the day.
Sure, exactly. So thank you so much. We will for sure join you, and we hope to join this fight together, as PlanED, as Marangoni, and then let's.
We can sure collaborate.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Well, you've got a partner with Istituto Marangoni, so anything you need, we're more than happy to help. Because this is a cause that's very, very important for us. So absolutely, anything you need, we're here to support you guys.
Thank you again, and for inspiring all of us.
Thank you so much. Have a great weekend, guys.
Bye.
You too.
Ciao. Bye-bye.